Welcome to the Downtown Madison Happenings, where we hear from our members about what's happening downtown and stories about how they're making downtown a vibrant and equitable place for everyone. Thank you so much to our sponsor, Carlson, Black, O'Callahan, and Battenberg, a law firm located in downtown Madison. Carlson Black specializes in commercial real estate, business, and tax law. Carlson Black is proud to represent many DMI members in helping build a vibrant and inclusive downtown. Welcome to the Downtown Happenings. We've got a very special episode here today. We've got two amazing members who are shaking up the social services business here in Madison. We are so excited to welcome the co-founders of Catalyst for Change, John Adams and Michael Moody, to this edition of the DMI Downtown Happenings podcast. If you don't know Michael and John, enjoy this next 15 minutes. They are doing amazing things to help our community that is experiencing homelessness. They are outstanding leaders. We're excited to hear more about Catalyst for Change, what they're working on, and how we can all help. How are you guys doing today?
Fantastic, Jason. Thanks for having us on the podcast.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love it. You came in matching shirts. You could have sent one my way. Look at it. You could have been triplets. Well, welcome to you both. We just want to get right into it. What is Catalyst for Change, and what are you guys working on, and how is it different than other models throughout our community?
So I guess this is
one of you can go first.
Take care of each other and decide.
You pick who goes first. It's up to you.
Yeah, I think I'll jump in. So Catalyst for Change is something John and I started, kind of a passion project. We've known each other for several years and working in homeless services. John used to be the director of the Beacon. And in that time, as we got to know each other and work together, we just started talking about gaps of services. And I think what we wanted as an agency to do was kind of shift what service looked like, as opposed to being an organization that did X, Y, or Z. We wanted to be an organization that supported individuals and the community through time.
That was excellent.
Thank you.
We also, one of the things we thought would be important in supporting people through time is following people through time in housing, not just through their journey of homelessness, but through housing also. So that brought about a kind of our case management aspect of Catalyst for Change.
Which supports another kind of, we look at it as programs, which is the street outreach and mediation. And I think that kind of came about the approach to outreach, what we learned at the Beacon, which was to work with community members, residents, businesses, to MPD, to really tackle people that are on the street and the impact it's having on their lives, but also the community's lives, so that we're trying to work with everybody to solve this problem, because it's not something we as an individual or organization can solve on our own. So trying to really integrate how we're doing things to best support the person in the community, to get everyone into kind of a better space.
And kind of to sum up what Michael is saying is our tagline: relationships equal results. And that's what it's about, building different relationships in the community and with the folks we're serving, because we know the relationships is where the investment starts on both ends.
And I want to give you all a plug for that, because I feel like you absolutely understand that aspect of relationships. I think DMI has been fantastic for us to start to develop new and different relationships, and the support that those relationships can do for the community and for everybody involved.
Well, thank you, obviously, for that nice compliment. But the work you guys are doing and how you're building relationships with the entire community, I think, is so important. Discuss that more, because it's not just a relationship about working with the person who's experiencing homelessness, where they're at, when they're at, how they're ready, but it's also the entire community, right? With the businesses that are downtown, with the other social service agencies, which you partner with consistently, right? Porchlight and Sankofa and all of these different groups of Friends of State Street Family. But you're also with MPD and local elected officials. Why are those relationships so important to build now while you're even early on, right? Because you guys are only about 2 years into your existence.
Yeah, actually, we just celebrated our 1 year of working in the community, September.
Yeah.
And I think that we came to it, again, a lot of learned experience at the Beacon, but I think it is a community issue. Like it's more than just housing. It's more than just employment. And I think what I specifically learned at the Beacon was that all people kind of need a person to talk to and to vent frustrations, to ask questions. And if there isn't that outlet, then people get frustrated. And I think justifiably so. So I think it's having someone to call if someone's on your stoop, sleeping on your porch or in front of your business. Now, I think people are extremely generous in Madison and downtown Madison. So they don't necessarily expect me to solve the problem, but if I can address it and go talk to them and they can see that there's some sort of attempts to solve the issues, I think that's appreciated. I think the relationship with the MPD has been a long developed relationship, but literally have been talking back and forth with the neighborhood resource officer today about a person who had been victimized and needed support. Reached out to get some information and data, but they're coming to us to add another toolbox. So they're doing a lot of social work kind of because we as a community have asked, but not necessarily trained in it. So now we can partner with them to have them have an outlet other than just criminalizing something.
And I think going back to the partnership part, I played a very integral role at the Beacon of selecting partners. And a lot of that was based on, I'll say this first. Me and Michael probably are utility knives of social services. There's not many things we don't know how to do. But at the same time, we're just two individuals. And that's where the partnerships in very specific areas, whether it be healthcare, food share, and other resources that folks need, that's where the partnerships come in handy, because we are integral to doing the warm handoffs, to getting people the services they need. Because like Michael said many times, it's a community issue with homelessness. So we're gonna need a community to lift people out of it. And a lot of that is partnerships. Look, I sometimes play a doctor on outreach, but I am actually not a doctor. And every now and then, I got to pick up the phone and call maybe Mach 1 Health or one of those organizations that does have doctors on staff and say, hey, this person is hesitant to go into the ER. Can you come out and take a look? So I think that's why partnerships are so important. There's just so many things in this job and helping these folks. There's not a one size fits all. So the more partnerships you can develop, the more likely an individual is to being successful on their journey.
Unfortunately, sadly, Madison has many people in our community, our own community mates that are experiencing homelessness. We see them downtown, obviously, but they're also all over, right? There's a lot of kids that are doubled up within their households. There's people living in the woods. This is a crisis we have in our hands, and certainly having agencies like you, like the aforementioned Mach 1 and Porchlight, Catholic Charities, many of these other groups are fantastic. But this really is it's a concern, right? We need to have stable housing for everyone in our community. So what do you think Madison needs to do most to ensure that we're taking care of people experiencing homelessness in the best way that we can?
So this is one I think we recently just talked about with somebody, because I feel like social services is lagging with the time a little bit, if we be honest. And I feel like we got a system where we kind of do the one size fits all. But honestly, I think we need to reflect and relook at how we're doing the system, because some me and Michael talked about lately, and just in the general conversations, is there's tiers to homelessness. And I know people just think, there's a person in the park, they all are, need help and in trouble. But if we be honest, some folks need a different approach. And by this, I mean, maybe you got a person out there that's experiencing significant mental health symptoms. Now, we could give them a house. We could house them. That's the right thing to do. That should be a human right. But does that address the mental health symptoms that that person is experiencing that may jeopardize them being housed? So you get them in there and they're untreated mental health symptoms. So I think we need to reflect and look at the approach and tier it. And we need more treatment. We need more mental health services. We need access to these to treat the issues appropriately. Because some people, you go out to the park and you say, hey, what landed you out here? I lost my job, blah, 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 but I'm out looking for employment every day. Those folks are ready because that's become a financial hardship versus the person that may be in the tent next to them that needs more hands-on help from mental health or substance abuse or whatever it may be. But currently the system is kind of structured to just meet this one need, which is homelessness. I think we got to start looking at it as a tiered approach and what works best for the individual. And I think that's kind of what we as Catalyst for Change are passionate about. We try to assess the issue, what the person is facing, whether it is mental health or substance abuse or a financial hardship. And that's where the connections, financial hardships, that's usually where, that's like our lane, connections. We call somebody, say, hey, we got this person, we think he'd be a great fit. Would you be willing to give them a part-time job? We've literally walked people into employers. So I think we just need to start looking at the system and tiering it to fit it to the individual versus trying to fit one size to a whole community. Do you want to elaborate?
I would love to. Yeah. I think John summarized. I think I would tweak it a little bit with, like for the community, I think we need those tiered approach and unique approach to housing. We need temporary transitional housing for people suffering from substance use. We need temporary housing for people that need some long-term mental health support to get them ready to be able to transition into housing, and then having a wide variety of housing options that are actually affordable to the people that we serve. And I think the other thing that we try to do that I think is important here is the supportive services after they're into housing. I think what we've discovered, so we've housed over 50 people in the year that we've been working. And there's been a lot of learning about that. It's not just getting them into housing, it's supporting them once they are there. Because you develop a lot of habits, social circles of support when you're on the streets, which don't always translate the best into housing. So if they're not supported after they're housed, then it's a gamble to success. And I think that's why we wanted to approach, I'm not doing, just housing or just employment. I'm here to support you until you don't need me or want me anymore. And I think it's that stabilization afterwards. And I think we need to finance that kind of wraparound service. We've talked about it, and it's been different approaches to it, but I think that's really key. Different types of housing at the front end with supportive services all the way through to stabilize them long-term into housing and to reintegrate it into the community.
It does seem like the last year since COVID, the conversation about people experiencing homelessness has grown, and the awareness of the issues that are happening right now. Unfortunately, it's affecting more people in our communities is certainly one of the reasons. But you've seen that with the conversation about the emergency men's shelter, the conversation about the family and women's shelter. How do we take this momentum and hopefully more resources going into the system to help people experiencing homelessness? How do we take that momentum and ensure that we have progress and we really do see that less people are experiencing homelessness and more people are homed and have the services, the mental health, physical medical services that they need? How can we take this momentum and move forward?
I think that for me, one of the keys is that mental health isn't an issue that's unique to homelessness. I think substance use isn't an issue that's unique to homelessness. I think housing insecurity isn't a unique thing to homelessness in Madison. So I think we have to look at some of the root causes that are affecting the people that we serve and think how it affects us as a community as a whole. And I think we have to invest in our future as a community. I think that no one would say, I want people that are homeless, but it's an investment in the community. And I think it goes back to some of these, safety nets. I think it's investing in, we were just talking to a partner agency about, it's like we can do the Band-Aid approach to like, okay, here's a person that's homeless, let's get them in there. But usually there's trauma. We were talking about both at the Beacon and working on the street, we've seen 3 generations. So a grandparent that's homeless with their child that's homeless, with their grandchild that is homeless. And I think we need to start going upstream to address these issues, to supporting families, to supporting children, so that, if we really want to solve homelessness, we have to address where it starts and how to support there.
No, and I think this go back to our conversation yesterday. Some of the things me and Michael been thinking about, because we are 2 wild and crazy guys, is do you catch these folks when they're younger in the youth criminal justice system, but also in the adult criminal justice system? Because if you can catch them before they hit the parks or wherever, you're more likely to change the behavior. Because once people get into these environments and pick up bad habits, they endure more trauma, it becomes that more challenging. So if you can get them, like Michael said, upstream, before they hit these areas, or maybe something we also pitched was going into just figuring out a way to go in the jail system and meet with people who have high recidivism, who are homeless. Because a lot of times there's an intersect there with homelessness and the criminal justice system.
And I think that you gave an opportunity to really illustrate that point, because a person we've known through, I don't even know if it was Bethel, but through the Beacon, was recently released and really struggled as a person that had a lot of structure and monitoring and appointments to make, but while homeless. And so another community agency and Catalyst worked really hard to try to find this person, to get them to appointments, to help, charge a bracelet. And it ended up not working. And I think that that's a failure of the system. Did we set this person up to fail? And I think it could be answered in both ways. We absolutely could have set it up for success. And I think that that's what John and I and Catalyst is all about, trying to figure out these gaps of services and how do we help people be successful? Because it doesn't do him any good. It doesn't do our community any good to have him just go back. He didn't want to. He could have, with support, had a different outcome. And I think that that's what we're always looking. How do we have a different outcome where we are helping all of the citizens, and we are focusing obviously, but on them to have the best possible life and contribute to this community in the best possible way.
I see, to be part of your conversations, I feel like I'm part of listening to the 2 of you. Like, you have conversations all the time on these subjects at such a high level. Thank you, honestly, for being here. And I think that leads us to our last question today. How can our members help Catalyst for Change or other organizations that are working with people experiencing homelessness?
You always look at me.
I do.
I'm going to say a lot of these organizations are running on tight budgets. It always comes back to financial support. To continue our mission to help Mach 1, Friends of State Street, the Beacon, Porch Light, whoever, we all need financial support to keep going, because that way you can get quality staff that stick around. That's the challenge in social services that we don't talk about a lot, is you'll start out with this fantastic master's student who is bought into the mission, but you can't afford them. It's all about finances. So
It is. And I think John and I early on decided we wanted to try to hire the very best of the best and keep them on. And so we have a very equitable, we don't make, in fact, we make less than one of our employees. But that's important to us. So we pay people well. I think the other thing is, we started with the help of some DMI support and members to start a target registry to get in-kind donations. We do a lot of supplies from sleeping bags to tents. We buy bus tickets for folks. So, trying to get those things are a tangible way if you wanted to do that. But it's that support. And I think the other thing I always pitch is have these conversations with your neighbors, your coworkers about what it is we as a community want to have, and I think it's how do you engage, whether it's volunteering, whether it's financial, but I think we all have to be engaged citizens to make change. And I think Madison is a community that prides itself on being progressive. And that means we have to work at it. We have to commit time and energy and money to making the change. And sometimes it's just talking, to, your friends, your family, or that person that may be sleeping on the corner as you go to work. Just engage.
Being engaged citizenry is the most important thing to help organizations like Catalyst for Change, exactly what our DMI members need to do. So we hope you can help our good friends at Catalyst for Change or Porchlight or whoever it is that's helping out our community that is experiencing homelessness. To John Adams and to Michael Moody, the co-founders of Catalyst for Change, thank you so much for being here on the Downtown Happenings podcast. Thank you for all you're doing. It's great seeing you downtown on the streets, working hard. If you see them, say hi and make sure you help however you can, because this is a whole team effort to help out our most vulnerable members in our community, the people that are experiencing homelessness. So John, Michael, thank you for being here today. We really are thankful. Thank you also to our sponsors, Carlson, Black, O'Callaghan, and Battenberg, for all you do for downtown. Thank you very much for joining us. I hope you all have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.